the one living God. Our nation needs first. So we had to call on the ancestors. Mala Cherry, oh, la poesía.
Shango la poesía.
Yeah, Mala Cherry, oh, Baba la poesía.
Shango la poesía.
Oye, Mala Cherry, oh, la poesía. Shango.
Shango la poesía.
Yeah, Mala Cherry, oh, la poesía.
Shango la poesía.
Yes, I have heard that my ancestors was from Nigeria, and that is why I'm carrying the name of Suna. Deep inside of me, I just wasn't satisfied. So I did some good searching and asked myself, who am I? Then I found out John African was my great-grandfather, and he was from an African tribe called Yoruba. The Dolly's from Pebble Village, yes, that was my great-aunt. So in the name of Orisha, I greet you all with a chant. Yes, Shango Baba Wa, Shango Lodo, Kabrile, Shango Baba Wa, Lodo, Kabile, Sio. Hey,
Shango Baba Wa, Shango Lodo,
I discover my religious practice is Orisha. With the help of the Sis Wilson grand and sister, through their spiritual efforts, I have found the truth. I'm solo to marry, I'm standing firm on my roots. Now that I know, me calabash, me oil and me hobby. These were just some of the things taken from me. So when you see me in peace, I'm not looking for obia. No sir, I come to chant and pay my respects to the Orisha. Ah, Shango Baba Wa, Shango Lodo, Kabile, Shango Baba Wa, Olodo, Kabile, Sio. Play it from
Shango Baba Wa, Shango Lodo, Kabile, Shango Baba Wa, Olodo, Kabile, Sio.
I discover my passion is Oshun and Osa. I must go have a super Shango and Jaja. Through manifestation, I could reach the other side to meet with my ancestors and visit the river Nile. With a voice like that great archangel, I could touch your soul, both spiritual and carnal. I could bring you transportation to Africa. I am an Orisha priest, they call me the Amungwa. Hey, Shango Baba Wa, Shango Lodo, Kabile, Shango Baba Wa, Olodo, Kabile, Sio. Hey,
Shango Baba Wa,
Day,
Shango Lodo, Kabile, Shango Baba Wa, Olodo, Kabile, Sio.
Let me see the hands and follow. Hey, Mani Shango Dawona.
Dawona.
Oh yeah, Baba Dawona.
Dawona.
Yeah, Mani Shango Dawona Baba.
Dawona.
Hello, Dawona.
Dawona.
Yeah, Mani Shango Dawona Baba.
Dawona.
So in the streets, when people stop to congratulate me, commenting on how much yes, the judges them robbed me. What the judges said to me didn't mean a thing, because I knew long before last year I was born a king. So when I sing, guys, so that's to feed my family. But when I sing Orisha, it's to pay homage to my deity. Alado ye abaku, so that's my tribal cry. I'm so proud I could stand and explain to you who am I Shango Baba Wa, Shango Lodo, Arele, Shango Baba Wa, Lodo, Kabile, hey, Shango Baba Wa, ding, 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 Shango Baba Wa, Kabile, Shango Baba Wa, Shango Lodo, Kabile, Shango Baba Wa, Lodo. Fabulous, sing the thing. Shango Baba Wa, Shango Baba Wa, Shango Lodo, Karele, Shango Baba Wa, Lodo, fabulous, hey, Shango Baba Wa, Shango Lodo, Karele, Shango Baba Wa. Fabulous, hey, Shango Baba Wa, ding, 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 Shango Baba Wa, Shango Baba Wa, Shango Lodo, Kabele, Shango Baba Wa, Lodo, fabulous, sing the thing, Shango Baba Wa, Shango Lodo, Shango Baba Wa, Shango Baba Wa, Shango Lodo, Karele, Shango Baba Wa, Lodo, fabulous, hey, Shango Baba Wa, Shango Lodo, Karele, Shango Baba Wa, Lodo, fabulous, Shango Baba Wa, Shango Lodo, Karele, Shango Baba Wa, Lodo, fabulous, Shango Baba Wa, Shango Lodo, Karele, Shango Baba Wa, Lodo, Kabile, Ashe. Thank you.
Oh yes, good evening to you and welcome to Politics 101. Friday night. It's the night Dr. Vincent Adams is here with us, coming in there with the voice, the sound of Sugar Aloes, Michael Osuna. Who am I? Who am I? Taking us back to the roots. You know, the margin of the roots music, the Orisha sound. We call it the Fatis sound in Guyana, comfort sound, the merging of it with Calypso. Well, Calypso come from that sound to begin with. And there is Sugar Aloes talking there about identity. In our case in Guyana, well, we had Little Jones used to give us that thing. Yeah. And in my village, we had Beres Carter had his own band. Because after time, Little Jones had to go up and down the country, and Mr. Carter, Beres Carter, had his own band in our village, you know, linking the Fatis song, the ancestral song with, you know, Calypso and so on. And for those of you who remember Calypsonian in Guyana, giving us that kind of merger between Calypso and the Fatis song, was a Fatis man himself, the mighty Kaichor. And people of my generation and Kid Beresford generation and Dr. Adams generation would remember a drunk man walking a graveyard. The mighty Kaichor, and he used to come on stage with he was a I think he was a God, what's the group that used to wear white and thing, not Geoffia, but it's gonna come to me. Keith, help me out. The religious group that was founded by Elder Forey. Elder Forey, Jordanites. Why am I taking so long to remember the Jordanites? And the mighty Kaito was a Jordanite, and a calypso, a drunk man walk in a graveyard, and so on. And he used to do what Sugar Aloes was doing, bring the faitist comfort song into calypso. And I'm going to play some, sometime next week, I'm going to play the mighty Kaito, remind us of that song. Welcome to Politics 101. And we come in with that calypso reggae show that we've been threatening to do for a long time. So Keith Beresford, keep yourself ready because it's almost there. This weekend, we are going to be premiering our cricket show. The cricket people get to me before, and I managed to decide to start it, launch it this weekend on Sunday night at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock West Coast time, East Coast time, sorry, Guyana time. We are going to be launching our cricket show. And guess who's going to be my first guest? I hope. Anyhow, my first guest is going to be a former cricketer, a former opening batsman of Guyana, who could have gone on to play for the West Indies, but he got injured and decided to choose science. You all get the answer? So Sunday night, we're going to launch West Indies Cricket 101. West Indies Cricket 101. And we're going to be dealing with the West Indies team that was announced today to participate in the World Cup, the T20 World Cup, which is going to be held in the West Indies and the United States, starting this month in early June. And there were lots of speculation about who will get into the team, whether Shamar Joseph was going to get in, well, he's in the team, whether Shamar Etmaya was going to get in, well, he's in the team. And, you know, selectors don't always get it right, but I think they got it right this time. They got it right this time. So on Sunday night, we're going to be launching our cricket show. West Indies Cricket 101. We are going to be doing it on Sunday night at 6 p.m. So all you cricket fans, we're going there on Sunday night.
Rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here comes the West Indies. And when you're facing the generals, nearly every ball is a funeral. And when we batting, brother, go and put your men on the boundary line. And if you give we a liquor, that is merely a hiccup. Look, you win the little battle, you lose the war. It's the same result every time. Everybody sing. Here comes the West Indies. Here comes the West Indies. Them rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here comes the West Indies. I tell you now, here comes the West Indies. Here comes the West Indies. Them bad boys gonna bring you to your knees. Here comes the West Indies. Special request to the Trinity posse. And what about the Guyana posse? And what about the Jamaica posse?
Yes. So that's our intro. We're ready to roll. We're ready to roll on Sunday night with cricket, West Indies Cricket 101. And as you see there, we have it all queued up. And our first program is going to be on Sunday night at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, Guyana time, New York time. And we're going ready to roll. As you saw in the intro there, I've been around the cricket. How could you not? I mean, your West probably know them young people got other interests, but in our time, yes, there was athletics, there was football, soccer they call it, we call it football. There were all the other games, table tennis and so on, but cricket was it. And I've had the opportunity to interview people like Conrad Hunt, as you notice there, Wes Hall, Clive Lloyd, Rex Pereira. I had interview David Halford of interviewing those people. On the program, we're going to play some excerpts of those interviews that I did some time ago. But yes, we are branching out to our cricket podcast, West Indies Cricket 101. And coming shortly after that, we get into the music, Calypso and Reggae. Calypso and Reggae 101. So we're doing Politics 101, West Indies Cricket 101, and then West Indies Music 101. We're doing it here. Thanks to your help and your encouragement, we are, as they said, diversing our programming. We are never a one-track people. Never, 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 never. You know, when you go take a drink and a man give you a beer, what you tell you? You can't walk by 1 foot alone. you got to come with a second one by, and the second one to a third one and fourth. Well, we're not walking on 1 foot alone. Politics, yes. But our politics are also in our sports, in our cricket especially. What did CLR Jen say? Beyond the boundary. Our cricket goes beyond the boundary. And our music, as we've been finding out on this program, is also not just the record and the singing, is the message behind. Welcome to Politics 101. Share the link. It's Friday night. Dr. Vincent Adams is here. Do you all know? Do you all know? Do you all know? Do you all know? Dr. Adams, some of you know. Dr. Adams, like I said just now, didn't walk on 1 foot. He's not just a scientist, an engineer, an oil export, and all of that kind of stuff. He is also grounded in the other thing. We are. We are. We have to be a versatile people. You see, if you are oppressed and you are there on that plantation, you're always looking out to get out. And you're always looking for whatever opportunity presents itself. So if you could sing to bamboozle the oppressor, you sang. And then when he invent his game, cricket, because white people, British people, they carried the game wherever they went, you know. In back then in the days when you were leaving to go out into the colonies, you had to be grounded in the 3 C's: cricket, classics, and Christianity. That's what they used to teach them. They had to be grounded in Christianity, because that's the religion they use, you know, to trap us. But we turned the Christianity into Black Christianity. You know, today we have what is called the Black Church, and we turn it into our own folk religion, because when you see those African people hear about the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, they say, "Oh, Jesus Christ, that is weeping," because when they come from Africa, they have plenty God for sun, God for the water, and God for the earth, and all that thing. And when the Indians came too, they recognized that, because they're coming from a religion with plenty God. And so when the British are using things to oppress, our people saw in it, and we take it and transform it. We take it and transform. This is how we take the English language and transform it as we move into the 1960s, 1970s, but even before that, going back to the Harlem Renaissance. Who are the great literary figures of the 20th century? They're West Indians, they're Black Americans, they're Africans, they are Indo-Caribbean people. Whether it's Achebe and coming right through, don't talk about the Black Americans, especially Black American women, where they take the English language and turn it up, and turn it up, and twing it wrong. And we West Indians, the West Indian novel, West Indian poetry. So the classics, cricket, and of course you all know what we did with cricket. Ruled the world for 20 years. the only team in the history of team sport that run the world, dominate the world of cricket for 20 years. No other team in the history of humanity has done that with team sport, a team sport. West Indies, the poorest cricketing nation, beating the whole world for 20 years. I know if you come from Dr. Adams and me generation, you'd just cry today. Because back in we time, you didn't ask if the West Indies win. You ask if we win already, boy. You didn't ask if we win. We win already. We never lost a test series between 1980 and 1995. Vivian Richards captained the team for 50 test match, never lost a test series. Of course, we know about the legendary Clive Lloyd, 74 test matches as captain and what he did during that time. So our cricket is folded in to our politics and our culture. And so you have Calypsonians singing about cricket. And West Indians, you see, when Frank Worrell is leaving to go to Australia with the 1960-61 team, CLR James slip a note in his pocket. And when he get to Australia, he opened the note. And CLR James says to him, if you are able to beat the Australians, it will say to the world, we're ready for independence. 1960-61. We didn't beat the Australians. They win the series 2-1, but it was a tight test. And of course, as they're leaving Melbourne, the tens of thousands of Australians, white people, came out to honor these black and brown men. And that was the beginning of, and CLR James was right. If we are able to win at cricket, it will show that we are ready for independence. And of course, that was 1960-61. By 1962, Jamaica and Trinidad, Guyana and Barbados in 1966, and the rest is history. So our cricket and our music are all tied up together. So as we get into the roaring 70s, we are roaring not just with politics and art and literature, we are rolling with cricket. We are rolling with cricket. When you see a Viv Richards come out with that swagger, you all young people think it's now you're all swagging. But so much used to swag way back then. And Vincent Adams can tell us that because people like me had to go in those days. You had to go in rails. That was the open, you all call it the mong or whatever you all call it, and the thing. At board it was rails. When you come from the country, you could barely afford rails. They had a school by stand. That to me was the best stand. By the time I get into the school by stand, you know, I was a big boy. But when you're in the school by stand, you can see how the ball turning. You can see how the batsman move because it was right behind. But rails was what we call the ghetto. When they put Burnham out at the pavilion in 1965, because they say he's not a member of GCC, and they put you out at the fancy play. The man is premier, you know, and they put you out. Where did Burnham go? He go in rails with the masses. And that was a terrible statement, of course. Of course, people say, well, Burnham mind bad, because after they do it, he chase all them Portuguese out and send them away to Canada and so on. And so you have always tease we name. Well, he just teased me first about it. He said, but it's only about 10 Portuguese left. We name again, he's now advisor, Jerry Govaya. He has always said, Burnham chase out all them Portuguese. There's only few of them left. And don't worry, kill them out and so on. But no, they put Burnham out from the GCC pavilion. In 1965, Australia came and they put you out and he go in rails. This man is the premier de facto prime minister, the head of government. But it just shows you cricket and politics are intertwined. Burnham was not the right color, not the right class. And so when people like Vincent Adams, by 1969, are playing for Guyana, really it's a new era in our cricket. They are playing as free men. Free men. And of course, now later we have the women playing the game. But you all know what's the big thing? Look in them cricket ground now, more woman than man. Them women know the game. If anybody tell me when I was a boy, I would hear women commentator. I would have seen women umpire. Women playing the game and so on. We have evolved. Welcome to Politics 101, where we do it here. We talk the breadth of our experience, because we are not a one-track people. We have to learn to switch. You know, you go to school in the morning, you got to do your books. And then you got to play sports. And then you got to debate. And then you got to play football. And when table tennis coming, you're playing it. That is why West Indians are who we are. My students asked me today, Dr. Hines, why black scholars? You all teaching about politics. And next thing, you've gone off to music, John Coltrane, and jazz. What I got to do with politics? I say, you're in the right place. You're in the right place, and you're asking the right question. And that is why today I can teach a course called Bob Marley, Reggae and Resistance. 150, 200 students. I can do music as political discourse, reggae, calypso, hip hop. I can do sports as nationalism, boxing, athletics, and cricket. I can teach that now. Thank God for what our cricketers and our sports people. I see Dennis Booker is here. She's mourning right now, but I think Dennis playing netball. I think Dennis playing netball at Bladenall. When they bring in netball, a lady, the name, I can't remember her name. Dennis gonna remember her name. I think she did come from Haiti or some way, but she's a lady that popularized netball among the girls and so on. In the late 1970s, and remember Bladenall, my sister Denise was part of that team, so I know the thing well, and so on. And they were ruling the roofs. I'm trying to Pat Kilkenny. I may be getting the name wrong. Denise, you're gonna help me out with it. You're gonna help me out with it. All right, we are ready to roll. We are ready to roll. Dr. Adams.
Hey, Dr. Hines, how are you doing? Welcome to our wonderful audience in Guyana, in the Caribbean, and North America, and England, and every place else in the world. I remember you bring back good memories there. A drunk man walked in the graveyard, and to the top of his voice, he started crying out.
The mighty Kaichor, and he dressed in white with the head tie up and so on, and the music.
But that's education for me, and it's an important piece of history that I did not realize happened. I never heard that story about Forbes getting thrown out of the GCC, even though I've known of, that used to be an issue with us, even as cricketers. There's always this guy sitting right there at the gate, and it used to be funny. Well, it's not funny, when you look back at it, at that GCC gate, you walk up the stairs, and there's a little swing gate there. There's a guy sitting there to, if you don't have the right credentials, or you don't have the right color of your skin, they're not asking no question. But they always put a black guy to do that.
Yes.
Yes. And I know the names of a few of them. But I never heard the story of
yes. They had a ladies' pavilion.
Yeah.
Just there. And I think Burnham attempted to go there, and they tell him he can't go because he's not a member of the club.
Yeah, yeah.
And that 65 tour was quite interesting, the Australia tour. You, of course, you remember that better than me. I was a small boy then and not too much into it because I couldn't comprehend what was happening. But CLR James had come to cover that tour for The Guardian in England, and Eric Williams banned him.
Oh.
Yes, and he stayed. He didn't go away after the world outcry. Because Eric was CLR student, and the two of them fall out. CLR left and go away, and he come back, and there was thing that CLR would foment revolution and so on. So he put the under house arrest. Big outcry, and he had to let him go. And CLR James stayed and formed the Workers and Farmers Party, which didn't get very far, but certainly had an impact on Caribbean politics. But that 65 tour was the first tour that Sobers captained the team, right? Because remember, Warrell retired after the 63 series, right?
Yes.
And Sobers captained that 65. So that was a lot. And we won the Australians, I think 2-1, we beat them. And that was not 3 cents team with Bobby Simpson and
Neil Harvey and
Miller
and yeah. Good thing. But we thought, and I'm glad you touched on the dominance over that period of time. And who started that dominance because of one decision that which was a genius decision that Sir Clive Lloyd made, was to have 4 fast bowlers in the team. Yes. Normally before then, it was a traditional, you pick 2 fast bowlers,
an all-rounder,
an off-spinner, and a leg spinner, and an all-rounder. And Clive decided to go with 4 quicks. And that revolutionized everything. You talk about revolutionizing cricket. Now today, in these days, it's the standard. You play your best 4 bowlers. You don't go to that traditional rule of thumb where you pay 2 fast bowlers and off spinner, and you play your best 4 bowlers, and that was what started the dominance of West Indian cricket under Clive Lloyd with those 4 quicks.
Yeah, but going back to that formula of 2 fast bowlers, a spinner, and an all-rounder, it was all on Griffith, the fast bowlers. Sobers, well, oh Jesus Christ, Sobers was fast bowler.
Lance Gibbs
was a spinner, but in Sobers you had 3 bowlers.
Absolutely.
Right. So in a sense, what we had there with Sobers in the team really was 6 bowlers, because Sobers could bowl orthodox spin. He could bowl left arm quick, and understand on his given day, some of his balls were as quick as Harlan Griffith. He wasn't consistently quick as them, but he could hit the speed thing. And then he bowled that Chinaman story.
That's right. He bowled. He was just an incredible cricketer. I mean, there's no comparison to him as a cricketer. The best piece of this is what after I can't remember. Yes, I think I played for Guyana already. But the best piece of fast bowling that I've ever seen was one afternoon against Guyana at Bordeaux, and Sobers with the new ball. I mean, I've never seen movement like this in my entire life as a cricketer. The left arm pace. But you're right. He would bowl quick, come back and bowl orthodox leg spin, and then he can also bowl the back of the arm Chinaman googly.
Googly story. And then when Gibbs come on, he there in the batsman pocket.
He there right in leg slip leg.
Let's slip. Dr. Adams, don't give out the old story, because Sunday night you are going to be my first guest on our cricket program.
Sure.
We are going to be able to talk. So you all can get all the story tonight. Rhonda, you all get cricketer from my cousin Rayon Griffith from Den Amstel, Lawton's son, my family, the little boy Griffith, who is now the coach.
Right.
He's from Den Amstel.
Fast bowler, yeah.
And it's my family. You know,
Oh.
me always, because if father, Lotan de Kali in the Amstel, he daddy Ketna, and they used to come and spend time with me. In fact, Lotan lived with me for about a year, right? So when I hear this by Griffith, I said to myself, I want to live with my family. Well, so a couple of years ago, I bumped up to he at the stadium. So I said, "Bye, come." You know, he came over. I said, "You from New Amsterdam?" I'm from Den Amsterdam. He said, "Yes." I said, "You know Ketna?" He said, "Yeah, my grandfather." I said, "Who your daddy?" He said, "Lotan." I said, "Bye, they ever tell you get family in box?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Well, me is your family." so yes, Rhonda. Yes, Rhonda. Then I'm still contribute. And today he's one of the best coaches. I think he's one of the West Indian coaches. So anyhow, you all have to tune in on Sunday night for more of this cricketer. We got fidgeting to politics.
Yep.
Dr. Adams,
Yes,
you
sir.
wrote a letter into the press this past week saying oil spill legislation scheme to nullify Judge Kissoon's ruling for parent company guarantee. And then I understand today the media, they show a document that the government put out. What was the title of that document, Dr. Adams?
It says something, the facts about the coalition criminal track record.
Criminal track record. Yes. So tonight, we're going to deal with your letter, and then, of course, the response to your letter. So you're saying the oil spill legislation that Nandalal and the government are threatening to come, really they're attempting to use that legislation to nullify Judge Kissoon's ruling about this insurance that must come from the parent company. Give us the history of that story, because a lot of our people know it, but it's always good to give us the background. So tell us what Justice Kissoon actually said and why the government is so determined to get around Justice Kissoon's ruling.
Yeah, let me give you, let me give you some history here in terms of context, because the PPPC, and that's why, and even in this silly document that they have just sent out, they have no real arguments of substance. So as usual, they just completely lie, and I'm not gonna let them escape with their lies. But anyway, so after 23 years, and people keep forgetting, Dr. Hines, out of the last 30 years, 23 plus 5, well, it's 32 years. They have been in government for how many years now? About 27 of those years. 27 out of 30, 31, 32 years. 27 years they've been in government. So when they when they were out of office in 2015, what we inherited in the EPA was a disaster. We had no EPA. So that was the reason why the government, I retired, and the government asked me to come in and build the agency. And within the I was there for less than 2 years. Within that 2 years, the agency became like night and day. I asked the staff, the very first question I asked the staff, what are some of the issues? The staff said, we're dysfunctional. Nobody wanted to stay here. This year was just a point we were, holding on until we could find another job. So we didn't have any agency, and I could go into all sorts of details. We didn't even know how many operations we had out there, Dr. Hines. So when Exxon, and in terms of permit, we had over 600 permits that had expired, and we did not even do anything about them. There were some over 15 years. And so now we didn't have any records of these type of things. Imagine the EPA did not have a filing system, Dr. Hines. So we didn't know what operations were there. When I asked the staff, they said, well, we got about 1,000 when I took the time out to get everything under control, to figure out what we had there, it was over 2,000. So we had to set up a structure, and every day we used to go and keep track, update and we had set up a system to bring them into compliance. We brought them into compliance within a year. They were all back into compliance. We had a single vehicle for these for these officers to go out there, a single vehicle for the whole country. That was workable. We went out, and because of the back money that we collected for those those back permits, people were not paying up anything. We were able to, when I left there in after about 22 months, we had eight new vehicles for the folks to go there, and we brought all of those permits back into line and into compliance. I know these people, one of their items in this thing about talking about facts to talk about the criminal work of the coalition. One of the items there that day that they brought all of these permits into compliance. I mean, these people are so barefaced and so lying. It's just unbelievable. But anyway, one of the things that had happened was when I arrived there, the forest permit, which is the Lisa 1 permit, which was, by the way, signed by the same Parshram that they currently have. They brought him back to run the EPA. It was signed by Parshram. 16 months before I arrived, they said it was the worst permit that was ever signed. This is Jagdeo, Nandalal, and them. And it was signed by their own man, and they said that it was signed by me, which was a blatant lie. In any case, I saw a major problem in that permit. The biggest problem it was that if a spill occurred, who is going to pay for that spill? And that permit says that it was supposed to be that the company that was going to pay for that spill they said it's going to be self-insured. Now, what Exxon did, Exxon went out and hired a subsidiary company, which is a trick that they normally use. You hire a subsidiary company, a limited liability company, that insulate yourself, to insulate Exxon from any liability. So a lot of people believe that Exxon signs these documents. Exxon name is not on any document. Exxon has nothing to do officially with this operation. Is this new subsidiary company that they formed that has absolutely no assets to cover an oil spill. So what I told Exxon, I said, you will not produce a drop of oil unless we get what is called a parent company guarantee, meaning that you have to sign a guarantee letter saying that you will cover all costs that your child company, Exxon Mobil Limited, EMGL Guyana Limited, cannot cover. So what they normally do is go out and get insurance. This is the EMGL, which is a subsidiary. But that's a pity. What they're claiming, it's a $600 million. $600 million is a drop in the ocean when the Macondo spill in the Gulf, as we recall, cost $145 billion US. So $600 million, it's nothing. So I don't care, even if the insurance is $1, I have no business with that. The catch was the unlimited parent company guarantee that when I was there, we put into the permit, which made it law. What happened was, as soon as I left and as soon as the government went out of office, the government now decided to go along with Exxon, side with Exxon, to not comply with that law. So that's what triggered the lawsuit by two citizens and lawyer Melinda Janke to go before the courts. And that was what caused Judge Kissoon to rule overwhelmingly in a landmark case against it ruled in favor of what we put into that permit, which is thou shalt have unlimited parent company guarantee, meaning that the parent company that has the deep pockets, they're the ones who will cover any spill that their child company, which is EMGL or their subsidiary, cannot cover. So now they lost with Judge Kissoon. It's now in the appeal. Nandalal is even fighting like hell to join Exxon to go before the Supreme Court. I mean, before he went to the CCJ so that he can conjoin this thing. I mean, this guy is really fighting to go against his own people. So what my letter was saying is that what they've seen is that they will lose that case going to the CCJ, because even the whole Caribbean now will be in trouble if we get an oil spill. It would wash away the entire Caribbean, bankrupt every especially Trinidad would be the first. We would wash away the coast of Venezuela. And if you want to give Maduro a good excuse to do, to really cause a problem, if you think we have a problem now, go give him that excuse by washing away his shore with oil. So what my letter to the media was saying was that this gimmick now of an oil spill legislation is to get rid of Judge Kissoon's ruling, because they know they're going to lose in the CCJ, because they have the votes by one vote, be it as it is. They're going to win that. They're going to get that legislation passed in Parliament, and that's what's going to override. That takes primacy over Judge Kissoon's ruling. So when they pass that legislation, Judge Kissoon's ruling would be over, and they've already signaled to us what will be in that legislation, because they just finished, which is what they've been talking about, and which is what they've just put into the latest permit, the latest project, which is the whiptail. They've already said that it will be, the cost that they're going to cover has to be reasonable, it has to be credible, it has to be legitimate, to be determined by guess who? By Exxon. And then there's a cap, there's even a cap of $2 billion. So regardless of what it is, all is credible and legitimate and reasonable. Of course, those are code words for legal action. So you've got to go to court. And of course, who's going to go and fight Exxon in a court of law? Because we know that you can't beat them. They've got their record throughout internationally. That's what they do. And they wear you down, frustrate you, and you give up. So, but the thing is, I don't really care about what Exxon does. It's about what this government is allowing. Because how come, Dr. Hines, when I was at the EPA and I told Exxon, you will not produce a barrel of oil unless you sign this permit saying that you agree to this parent company guarantee. They signed it willingly. It was put into all of the permits, and now as soon as I left EPA, it got torn on its head by this government. As a matter of fact, this government even went further to join with Exxon against their own people. So that is the most egregious and immoral and even treacherous act on the part of the government. It's a betrayal of our people, Dr. Hyde, and I cannot believe that, I don't care whether you're PPP or a PNC or a AFC, if you are a citizen, it has to bother you that your government, who's supposed to protect you, your attorney general, who's supposed to protect you, your president, who's supposed to protect you, are siding with Exxon against your own interest and against the entire Caribbean, for that matter. And people are just sitting back and just letting it go. And we should learn, by the way, Dr. Hein, we should learn from that little bitty spill, comparatively speaking, that we just had in Trinidad. There's no parent company guarantee. We can't even find the parties who are responsible for it. In Nigeria, there's a case that Shell Oil Company has been fighting, and the case is being tried in London. But you know, with some spills, some Nigerians sued Shell for these spills to cover the cost of cleanup. You can guess it. Guess what is Shell's defense? Shell's defense is, we are not responsible for these spills that occurred under our subsidiary. Okay? So that's what we have in Peru. We had a spill of 12,000 barrels of oil. And guess, you know what the Peru government had to do? Seize the passport of all of the government officials and then turn around and sue them in court. They can't leave the country for $4.5 billion. And then had to set new legislation to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So this government is, I don't know what, I mean, I don't understand how immoral and how, you know, how just hard-hearted and heartless to your own people these leaders of our country, these so-called leaders, can have to go against their own people's interests. So that's basically
That's basically it. And of course, the judge says that the parent company has to put this insurance down. The government, of course, is opposed to that. And they are now looking to bring legislation that is going to ensure that their view, they will get around the court. And you're arguing that they will bring legislation that is going to seek to get around what Justice Kisuni said. But they have something coming. They can only be assuming that they have control over the court. And I think they're eyeing the CCJ, which they think is their court. You see? Because at the end of the day, if you bring that legislation, you, Vincent Adams, and others, stakeholders, are going to go back to court. And the court has the power under the Constitution to determine whether an act of parliament is constitutional or not constitutional. That is why, for example, when the court ruled in 1973 in the United States, in Roe versus Wade, that abortion is illegal under the right to privacy, the Congress didn't do anything because they knew that if they tried to pass a law to get around Roe versus Wade, that it will go back to the court and the court. So what they did eventually was to pack the court, right? And let the court overturn itself. So the point I'm making here, that Nandalal, he's a smart guy. He's not a dunce. So he obviously must know that only the court could overrule itself, that the legislature cannot overrule the court because you all are going to go back to court. And the court is going to go with the precedents unless the court. So they are assuming that they would be able to pack the court as they did in the United States,
right,
to get rid of Roe versus Wade. The trick here is to put this legislation and hope that they are going to be able to pack the court and so on. So it really is a trick they're trying to play here with us in Guyana, Vincent Adams.
No, I agree there. You know, it's, and I, as a matter of fact, what you said there, there's a certain attorney that, you know, that I work with, and basically what she said, it will be unconstitutional.
Yes.
But you know, but we still have to fight the battle.
Yes.
Yeah. But
because once they pass that law, it becomes the law of the land.
Yeah.
Until the court say it is not the law of the land, and they can do a lot between that time, because once they pass that law using the majority in parliament, you now have to go back to the High Court. The High Court rule in your favor. They will appeal it. You go to the appeal court, and then they're going to slow down the process until it gets to the CCJ, hoping that the CCJ will uphold them. But even if the CCJ doesn't uphold what they do in Parliament, 1 year, 2 years, they would be able to do a lot. And in any case, if you have a spill within that year or two, as you are pointing out, it becomes dangerous. So these people are playing, I was about to say Russian roulette, but they're playing PPP roulette with our lives in Guyana and the Caribbean.
Yeah. In
the name of politics. So you are right to sound the bell, because even if the court eventually overturned the law that day, a lot of damage could be done in that process, in that period, sorry. A lot of damage could be done.
And they don't, the thing that galls me, and they should gall every single member of the population, regardless of which party you belong, your party affiliation. The thing that galls me is just as if they do not care about their own people and their own country's interest, Dr. Hines. I don't know It's the same thing. I don't know what happened, if there was some kind of a Kool-Aid or something somebody drank, because remember, it's the same if let's go back when this government was in the opposition. You remember Jack Dio jumping off of the chair, hitting the roof about renegotiation, how the coalition sold out the patrimony of this nation, and it's the worst contract that was ever written. And as soon as he gets into office, he said it. As a matter of fact, his words are still there on tape. He said that every single Guyanese ought to be sad every time for every single barrel of oil that is produced. He's on tape saying this, shouting to the top of his voice. He will renegotiate. He will have ring fence. All of this kinds of stuff. And Dr. Hines, it's mind-boggling as to what changed these people's minds so drastically. The president himself, after he got into office, he had an interview with Critic at his office, their favorite person, Critic. Critic specifically asked him, well, would you renegotiate? He said, yes, renegotiations. And so for them to get here now and just make a right about turn, it raises a lot of questions, because this here is against their own people well-being in terms of health, safety, the environment. And here's the other thing, Dr. Hines, if we get a spill, that can put a stop to every single thing. And if we get a spill without an unlimited pay and company guarantee, and this country has to stand the expense, we would be bankrupt. So,
yes.
So we would lose every single dime that we've collected to date. There will be no money coming from oil in the future. And so I don't understand. This logic is not about the country's interest. This logic has to be about some personal interest that they have that raises questions.
And Natalia, Odessa Natalia said on it, but protest is the remedy for all such tricks. And she put it in capital letters, remedy for all such tricks, Dr. Hines, and an exclamation mark is a bright girl, lady, girl, whatever it is, because she know what she's saying. She put it in capital letter, and then she put the exclamation mark. As a teacher, you say, I'm proud of when I see a student, because she's making an important point, not just in the words, but the way in which she arranged the words and so on. And that is why I think we've got to move the needle. We got to protest, and it is why last night I spent a lot of time on what Aubrey Norton had to say about the situation with Black people. And that he came out and he said in clear terms that Black people are being beaten up. And when it comes from the opposition leader, when it comes from the leader of the PNC, the big party, it carries much more weight than when it comes from the rest of us. And Norton and the PNC have to move to the point where they have to consider protests. They've been holding back protests. And, we agree to some extent with some of the reasoning, but we have to call a spade a spade. If the PNC said protest tomorrow, it's protest, because the PNC has the capacity to mobilize people, something that the AFC and the WPA don't have. They have the capacity to mobilize people. Their voice has more reach than our voices, and so they're important. And we have Norton now on record saying very clearly this government is taking a racist position among their, in addition to their class oppression, there is racial oppression of Black people. And that is as clear as it can get. And now we have to tell the PNC that all this chat has now to morph into real action in terms of protest. Now, I can't sit there and say what the protest is going to be. Protest is usually determined by the government itself. It is the government that determines what protest is. But when we see them children in the United States, at the universities, getting up on an issue that has to do with Palestinians, it's not an American issue, but they're showing us what protest can do. What about our University of Guyana? What about our young Black people who are feeling the squeeze? Something has to eventually give. Something has to. So, Odessa, I am with you. And I'm sure 99% of us are with you. And bullies always frighten protests. They always frighten protests. But we got to get there. We are going to be on Sunday night. We are launching our cricket podcast. West Indies Cricket 101. Dr. Adams, a former Guyana opening batsman, cricketer, he get injured, and so as a result of that, he didn't go on. He might have been, he could have been, would have been part of that all-conquering team of the 1970s. But although we lost him to the cricket field, we get him beyond the boundary, doing things.
Boys gonna get you by degrees. Here comes the West Indies. And when you're facing the generals, nearly every ball is a funeral. And when we batting, brother, go and put your men on the boundary line. And if you give we a liquor, that is merely a hiccup. Look, you win the little battle, you lose the war. It's the same result every time. Everybody sing. Here comes the West Indies. Here comes the West Indies. Them rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here comes the West Indies. I tell you now, here comes the West Indies. Here comes the West Indies. Them bad boys gonna bring you to your knees. Here comes the West Indies. Special request to the Trinity posse. And what about the Guyana posse? And what about the Jamaica posse?
And y'all, please stop it. That was a long time ago when I had plenty beard and it wasn't gray, and I had plenty hair and it wasn't gray. I still get hair, but it's gray now. But what the ballet thing? I started doing the ballet thing I think 20 odd years ago when I went to California to teach. And in those days in California, they had what they call the Isaac Hayes look. I said, good. That was a nice way to hide the gray, because by then the gray they start coming and so on. And so we adopted the Isaac Hayes look, ballet, with the beard, and eventually the beard comes and that goes. Yes, y'all, please stop it. I used to be young too. Dr. Adams, and let me welcome all of you, and to say thanks for giving us always an audience. You all gone over tonight on a Friday night. You all gone over the school pack. I go and bring in some extra bench and chair and so on. It's good for all of you to be here. Lansford King, I haven't seen in a long time. Lansford is saying, keep up the good work. Lansford King is a hell of a Pan-Africanist. He just give me a hard time sometimes. He just say, Dr. Hines, you gotta be more form on this thing. Hey, Nicole Cole, Commissioner Cole, as she calls herself, always doing wonderful work in our community. Odessa is giving us some more wisdom here. Imagine little college students across the USA are causing President Biden administration to rethink its policy. Therefore, why not Guyanese in mass protest? Sister, I'm with you. That's where I come from. That's my tradition. But as time moves on, they say, what does it age does bring wisdom? And sometimes the wisdom does mean that you tone down a little bit. But when I hear, obviously, younger people like yourself saying, let's get it on, then let's get it on. Let's get it on. That was who, Dr. Adams, that was...
let's get it on.
Was who by? Oh God, they're gonna tell me in this audience.
Yeah, let's get it on.
Was who by?
Wasn't it
What about we father Shooty?
Yes, exactly. That's the name. Yes, the same. Oh shucks.
Hey, why names, bro? Escaping me all age, why? All age. By we daddy Shooty.
But it's the same guy. That this father shot him out.
Yes. Kid Semple, good evening. Y'all gonna tell me Y'all gonna give me the name just now. So
Oh,
you
sure.
just got
Something
to call senior moment. They call it now. Like, hey lad, why the name I call
Marvin Gaye.
Marvin Gaye.
Marvin Gaye.
Good evening
Marvin
to my
Gaye.
sister Lynette. Good evening to my sister Lynette Zephyr. And I always
Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye was a great.
Yeah,
But
you
you know, Dr. Hines, and let me tell, let me tell folks, I hate to be doing this, but it has come to a point right now where I want to tell our listeners, not to take seriously anything this government tells them. You're supposed to have a government with leaders that you can trust. That's why leaders are there, to give you information that you can trust. But based on everything that we're seeing, we cannot trust them. And fortunately for us, we've got forums such as yours and others to bring the truth to them. Because the same Nandalal, we all know Nandalal is supposed to be a smart guy, and he's spreading disinformation. One of the things that he's saying, this man is acting, which is one of the things that I said in my letter, this man is acting more like the Attorney General for Exxon than the Attorney General for the people. Because that's the side that he's on. You're not guessing it. It's clear as crystal, the side that he's on. And what he's trying to do to really defend Exxon and to put this propaganda out there to fool people is to tell people, well, unlimited insurance is too costly. It's impossible. It's never going to be able to be afforded. It is not unlimited insurance. Like I said, it's about a parent company guarantee. It's an Exxon. Exxon name is not on anything. They've got a child company in EMGL whose name is on everything. They don't have any money to cover anything. So all we said, okay, Exxon, you got to sign a piece of paper to say if something happens, you're going to cover the cost. It's just a piece of paper. It doesn't cost a dime. If something happens, then they're going to have to pay for it. So when his thing to the people, his propaganda to the people as well, an unlimited insurance is going to cost, too much money, and Exxon or nobody's going to be able to afford it. It's a big, blatant lie, and he knows it because it's not unlimited insurance that they got to pay a premium for. It is unlimited parent company guarantee. It's unlimited pay. Exxon, the company MGL goes out and they buy insurance, and I think it's $600 million. So that's a premium that they got to pay because they can't get any more insurance to cover an hospital or $45 billion. So all we're saying, anything above that $600 million, Exxon got to sign a little piece of paper to say they're going to cover it. He is lying to say that we are asking for somebody to take out an insurance policy that is unlimited. It could go to $150 billion. It is a blatant lie.
A blatant lie. And Dr. Adams, by the time we trying to remember who sing the song Let's Get It On, 400 people have been put in the Marvin Gaye. One of the persons are by name Kwesi Ojinga. He's now Pastor Ojinga. And you always say when I get a big
but Dr. Hines, the embarrassing part of it is that the two of us should have known that, but I'm sure it's the younger people telling me who the sport is.
Yeah. And
that's the embarrassing thing, that we should know about Marvin Gaye more than they do.
But the thing is, it's what we West Indians are, is that education that we got. It's not just the formal education, but it's also the popular education. I mean, there was a boy named Mickey. The boy used to go and watch picture. And when he come back in Boston, he tell you the picture from the shots in front that we used to.
That's right.
Word for word, and he give the action. Look, this actor do this,
that's
and
right.
Burt Lancaster do so, and thing. He was, and I.
But here's another test here, Doctor. Here my favorite Marvin Gaye song is Sexual Healing.
All right. But I tell you about this by Kwesi Ojinga.
Yeah.
You all know when I get a big cast here, a panel, I used to say, big panel tonight, and I always say, Kwesi Ojinga. When Kwesi doing play, you get 20, 30 actors. I said, Kwesi, why so much? He said, buy me like big cast and so on. Kwesi Ojinga, one of Guyana's top dramatist, and not I say act alone, because you write poem, you write play, he act, direct, phenomenal guy from BV, Baron, better for Wacom. He come and he married a girl from Buxton, a Telford girl from Buxton. So he lived in Buxton. And as usual, when these people come in Buxton, they become Buxtonians because Kwesi, people like Kwesi, Kimani, Noesi, them big people at Jamu, a wee family. And you have to explain to them, he's not really from Buxton, but he married to that girl Telford, teacher Ruby Data. Yes, he married teacher, but he's a Buxtonian then. You know. Kwesi, my friend, it's so wonderful to see you on the program. I know I owe you. I know I owe you. I know, because Kwesi, myself, Jasper Adams, in Washington, D.C., after we migrated, we had a drama groups and thing there in the community there in Washington, D.C. Kwesi is just a phenomenal, creative talent, and he's now a pastor. And Kwesi, I know the next time I pass through Washington, D.C., I know I got come and let me hang out and catch up for old time. Say, Kwesi, that by Kwesi Ojinga. He made drama fun. Kwesi, when Kwesi direct, and you walk slow, by where you walk like when Turkey, me can't say what you tell you what the Turkey do. But apparently, when Turkey do that thing, you talk about sexual healing just now. Kwesi had this vivid thing. Apparently, when Turkey doing sexual healing, they just do it slow. So when you move slow, this by Kwesi Ojinga. Oh, my boy. Oh, Lord. Kwesi, it's nice, my brother, to see you on the program. And we've got to catch up. Give my regards to the better family. Get big now because Norris and them by get grandpick, you know. So you're not only grandfather, you're great grand. So Kwesi Ojinga, wonderful fellow. Wonderful guy from VBV. And we always say BV, the sleepy village from the East Coast, because it's language there between Pleasance, which is the party village, you know, and Buxton, which is not just party, but politics. So if you're BV, you always think, but you know, BV produced so many politicians, so many ministers of government, probably more ministers of government came out of BV than any other village in Guyana. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Dr. Adams. So Asghar Ali, former finance minister, said 15 billion barrels we have in reserve. Professor Clive Thomas said 25 billion. Some of the experts are saying 30 billion. Exxon is, of course, for obvious reason, is saying less than that. Jack Dew at one time pegged it at around 20 billion, but I noticed at his last press conference, he's backpedaling. Well, I don't know where Asghar get that number from, or we calculate it. What do you think is the truth about how many barrels we have?
Well, what I do know, and of course, I'm a technical person. As a matter of fact, I work for as a senior, what they call the reservoir engineer, whose job it is to do those estimates of reservoir capacities and those type. Look at characteristics of reservoir. So so when I hear, and Mr. Asghar Ali and those folks, it's nice chatter and good news, but I normally like to hear it from the technical person, because you never know. As I cannot say whether it's 15 or 20 or 25 or 30 billion, but what I do know, which is what I've been talking about, is that this government is hiding the information. It's not Exxon. It's not Exxon because the contract says, Dr. Hines, it's clear cut. The contract says all data, like every other contract like these, all data belong to the government of Guyana, and Exxon has to report this data as they accumulate to the government of Guyana. So if you notice, every time they ask Exxon is saying the right thing. Well, we're submitting our quarterly reports. But the government does not. Jalio knows what it is, but he does not. And the only reason, Dr. Hines, because remember, for the first 11 billion barrels, every time there's a discovery, we used to get an update the next day as to what it is. So for 2+ years now, we haven't received anything, even though we've gotten, based on what you're hearing, over 20-something discoveries. I don't know how many of them have enough oil for development, etc. But there has been no report over the last 2.5 years, even though we were getting it on the fly. As soon as something happened, we were getting it in real time. So what caused them to change that modus operandi in terms of updating us as soon as the information is obtained? There's something there, and the reason is, Dr. Hines, that I believe is that this man does not want people like you and I and others to know what that number is, because we're going to start asking questions. And they're going to, we're going to try to hold them accountable and what they're doing with the money, etc. That's the reason we ask too many questions. And so there's no transparency whatsoever. This information, they have that information. So I don't know, Mr. Asbrali, it sounds as if he got it from some credible source, which might be a technical person, which is where I like to go. Maybe I got a bias for doing it that way, because I've seen many times, even in my past life, where politicians would go out there and say things that used to make me cringe sometimes, that they're not supposed to say that. So I want to see the technical information. But the government of Guyana, listen here, listeners, the government of Guyana has all of that information that Exxon is giving them every single quarter. We want to know what that information is.
Here's a question for you there on the screen. Can Dr. Adams say if those data are proprietary, as the VP saying?
Excellent question. It's nonsense. No data, none. Production data is never proprietary. The only thing that are proprietary is technology. And even Exxon, as far as I know, the drilling technology is kind of standard now to all the big companies. So there's nothing really proprietary. But I know for sure, 100% confident, production data is not proprietary. Again, it wasn't proprietary when they were releasing that data for the 11 billion barrels. So why would it be proprietary now? Even though there's no question, I could tell you that I bet my life on this one. There is nothing proprietary about production data. And Exxon might even be presenting these things at the conferences or wherever. We do that all the time because they want to brag how well they're doing, and they want to let their shareholders know how well the company is doing. So this production data is not proprietary. So it's absolute rubbish. Like everything else he says, it's absolute rubbish. He also says this foolishness that I've been attacking all the time, going back to this unlimited pay and company guarantee. Here's what the vice president has been foolishly saying, that, well, we could seize EMGL, which is the operating company, the child company or subsidiary. We can seize their assets to pay for a spill, and they've got $20 billion. Well, this man got to be out of his mind. You know what the contract says? That all assets, it says permanent, removable, and something, but it means all assets that they buy, because they're buying it out of the cost oil. They're buying it out of our money that we're paying for. All of those assets belong to the government of Guyana. The contract says if this contract is terminated, you have to hand over all of those assets to us. So here's the foolishness man is saying when he says that we could seize those assets. This man is saying we should go and seize our own assets to pay for an oil spill. That's the stupidity of the nonsense that he spouts all the time. So this is no different when he talks about proprietary stuff. He has no clue. I listen to him sometimes, and it just makes you want to chirp, because the guy pretends that he knows stuff, use stuff to confuse people, and he doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. No time does he have a clue as to what he's talking about.
Here is one for you from me, Dr. Adams. So Jack Dior says that there's nothing the government can do to prevent people who get oil blocks and then they sell it, they trade it, they make money off of it. They get it for 50 million and they sell it for 75 million. And to me, on the surface, that sounds reasonable. But there's something about my understanding of government that when you tell me there's nothing the government can do, seems to say to me, that can't be an intelligent answer. Over to you.
It is not. It is not. No, it depends again on what the legislation says and what the contract with the purchaser says.
There you go.
A contract is a contract. So it's an easy way out for him to say that, because he knows probably what they're doing in these contracts. Dr. Hines, is that any different to Pradoville?
Yes.
Is it any different to Pradoville? where all of those PPP folks were given those land, including Bar Jaddu himself. And guess what they did? They turned around and flipped it and sold it for hundreds of times more. So it's no different. So that's the way they operate. But it's what's in the legislation, and I don't know what's in there, or what is in the contract that they're signing in terms of these blocks.
Patrick Patterson, Kwesi is a pastor now. Kwesi is a pastor now. Yes, taken is Christian vows, and you bring it out Kwesi. oh, Patrick, I know all of us who know Kwesi, we have all those stories. Kwesi Ojinga, wonderful brother, and it's good. Maureen reminded us that his wife's name is Desiree. Senior moment, Maureen, I should know Desiree is my country lady, country girl, and so on. Family of teachers. The father was a teacher. The people at Linden. Well, Kwesi, wife, daddy. Linden Foundation, Telford School in Linden, Dr. Adams.
Oh, the Telford, yeah, I know Telford. Telford had his high school was Telford in Yapali?
Yeah, you got to tell me, use the Christianborg.
Yes, it was in Yapali. I don't know if you know. This is Christianborg, as a matter of fact. I used to pass there every day to go to school in Christianborg. Yeah, it was a 2-story building. I had a couple of friends. One of my neighbors used to go there, and some others. Yeah, it was right in Yapali. Yep. I know Telford School.
Yeah, well, Telford is Kwesi Ojinga father-in-law. He married to Kwesi Ojinga daughter, and Telford was a teacher. Our mother, teacher Ruby, she was a teacher, and a couple of the children became teachers too. One of the fixtures in the village, family teachers, and in the villages, how we look up to our teachers.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, Dr. Adams, is there anything you want to say to us that we didn't touch on?
Yes, there are a couple of developments here recently. I don't know if you picked up on the vice president press conference, and you can tell when you get caught, he starts stuttering. I mean, he's got a signature, kind of, response when you get caught. He starts stuttering, like if he's losing his breath. When the reporter said, something, I was at at a fundraiser here a couple of days ago at the PPP big fundraiser with all the ministers and everybody.
Hey,
And guess who attended?
Sue.
So
And he's saying, you know where Sue there, they can't serve the
you know
thing.
Sue there.
When last you see Sue, well, that's not really. I heard the bailiff thing, the thing. He put in the blame on the bailiff.
I know. No, he put in the blame. But so the reporter said, well, you know, I saw Barrett there. I saw another minister. He said, well, go ask them. You go ask.
You know, we're talking here, audience, about Sue turning up to a PPP fundraiser. A PPP fundraiser
Last week.
in Diamond.
This week, I think it was already this week.
Yes, at a PPP fundraiser in Diamond. And when they reported it, tell Jack Dio, when me and been there, go ask them who been there.
But you know, this guy is so slick. This guy, you know what he tried to do is to shift it over to the reporter to make a joke out of it. Well, did you pay to go in, or did you pop? You know, try to laugh it off. But the reporter kept on. Well, you know, no, I went there and I saw Sue. So.
Hey, they get catch. I've already saying here that Telford eventually moved to David Rose Avenue, formerly Parsons Boulevard. Telford eventually moved the school there at Linden. Was
so
quite
Parsons Boulevard or street. I know that we don't got a fancy thing like boulevards in Linden.
Well, Ivor Miller, who seems to be a Linden man, he's saying here the school eventually moved to David Rose Avenue, which
I know
was
where
formerly
Parsons Street is. I know
well, Parsons Street. All right.
But the man saying Boulevard, we don't use that.
Maybe that's what they're calling it now.
Yeah, them boys when we get sophisticated.
Yes. Good evening to you.
But
yes.
Dr. Ham, the other thing is, you know, the PPP Congress opened today, so he's bragging they're going to have 4,000 people and all that.
Yeah.
I want to know, what the people should be asking, is he finally, at this Congress, because they never had a Congress in I can't remember how many years, are they planning to remove communism from their manifesto? The question was asked, and he's been dodging it. Now, I ain't got no problem against whether he's a communist or a socialist or a capitalist, but he needs to come out and tell the Americans whether he's a communist or not.
Well, he said he can't talk when the people won't get in the bag. Good evening, Paula. Paula, I'm going to give you a call this weekend. Paula, my sister, I know you went along with my instructions to get me digits, call me, but when you call, what we used to send you, I've been in a funny position. But Paul, I'll call you this weekend because I know it's very important, and it's a process that I want to help you through with, and I am going to call you this weekend. So make sure you're not in a funny position, Paula. All right, when I call Paula, my good friend, colleague, family, one of the families when I came to Arizona, one of the families that took me in as family, you know. And it's always when you go to these strange places where you hardly find West Indians and Guyanese, and you go there, the family take you in, and you become part of the family.
Yeah.
Wallace family, the Jonas family from Linden via Buxton, they took me in. So them boys just now call me David Jonas. Become so much part of the family. Linden Tongue Week opened up last week. Understand the PPP boycott.
Yeah, they were invited. As a matter of fact, they were invited and they boycott. I even heard reports that they instructed the police not to provide security at some of these events. So yes, they boycotted it. It's a sad, you know, I don't know. the lady said, you know, it's gonna have to take some more drastic actions to get their attention. Look at what's been happening here. The president came up and go and palaver, making roti in people's shop and walking around and all kinds of stuff. And then the very next day he goes back to Guyana and uprooted them black people.
Black people were selling roti on the seawall.
On the seawall, you know. So you know, and to put some some jest into this thing, one of my friends asked me, I wonder if we should report him to the immigration. Well, not the immigration, but this guy, does he have a work permit to be making roti? Does he have a work permit to be coming up here and making roti? That means he's employed.
Vincent, look, Ivor explaining himself there by on the screen.
Wait, say I am getting it on my phone, man.
He's saying the back road near the Katakara Creek.
Yes.
All right, opposite industrial area.
Okay, yes. That's
what he calling the Parsons thing. And he said, Vincent know me by the name Ivor Archer. Through my younger brother Mark.
I know, yes, absolutely. I know, yeah, man. Yeah.
Is Mark Archer, who work with the coalition government, the soldier man?
Yes.
Is that his younger brother?
It could be. I know Mark. Ask him, is Mark. I know.
He said you would know him by the name Ivor Archer.
I know Ivor.
Through his younger brother Mark.
Yeah, I know Mark. As a matter of fact, I saw Mark just a couple of weeks ago in Atlanta. Yeah, I saw Mark about 2 weeks ago in Atlanta when Aubrey was in Atlanta. I saw Mark.
Right. Well, it's good that we are able to connect here on the program and to take you back in time and have some light moments here and there, because you know politics sometimes could be tedious.
Yes.
And sometimes you know that is, we in the Caribbean, we like to laugh. David Rudder said, you know, we like to laugh, but behind that laughter is a flashing blade. Is a flashing blade. My brother, thank you very much for coming on another Friday night. I'll see you on Sunday night when we do on our inaugural program on cricket. West Indies Cricket 101. We're starting at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock New York time, Guyana time. So please, those of you who are into cricket, we're going to kick it off on the weekend.
Rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here comes the West Indies. And when you're facing the generals, nearly every ball is a funeral. And when we batting, brother, go and put your men on the boundary line. And if you give we a liquor, that is merely a hiccup. Look, you win the little battle, you lose the war. It's the same result every time. Everybody sing. Here comes the West Indies. Here comes the West Indies. Them rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here comes the West Indies. I tell you now, here comes the West Indies. Here comes the West Indies. Them bad boys gonna bring you to your knees. Here comes the West Indies. Special request to the Trini posse. And what about the Guyana posse? And what about the Jamaica posse?
And the Guyana posse, the Jamaican posse, we are going to, yes, Doctor, it's the very Mark Archer. Yeah, as the very Mark Archer, he said, Dr. Adams, the very Mark Archer, soldier man, Mark, that was the information man during the thing. And he's right there in Atlanta. He's right, yeah. He's in Atlanta there. He's in Atlanta there with you. So I am Rastaman. What's happening by long time? Well, you're always here. You're always here. Rastaman said, take care. So long. Bye. Until we come again. You know, the Rastaman don't say come back, you know. Rastaman say, will you come again? I mean, the way in which Rastafarians have not just revolutionized our sense of identity in terms of our air, but our sense of identity in terms of language. I mean, they have really revolutionized Caribbean language in very serious ways. The greatest cultural intervention of the 20th century in the Caribbean, the Rastafarian movement, starting in the 1930s with the coming of Emperor Haile Selassie, coronated in 1930 in Ethiopia, and Jamaicans, a group of them, over 1,700, they look and they say, boy, this is Garvey's revelation that an African king shall rise in the East. And thus was started the most revolutionary intervention in our Caribbean and perhaps in the world in the 20th century. Those who will argue and say, well, steel ban was also a revolutionary intervention in the 20th century. Some people will argue that reggae music was a revolutionary intervention. Reggae music comes out of Rastafarianism.
Right,
and some
right.
people will argue that our domination of cricket in 20 years was the most revolutionary thing. David, he didn't tell you his doctor is a Buxtonian. No, he didn't tell me his doctor is a Buxtonian. All right. I'm now learning things. I'm now learning things here. All right. Okay. We gotta go. We gotta go.
Yep.
It's weekend. You all take a little tux. If you don't tux, ticks. If you don't ticks, just chill for the weekend. And Dr. Adams and I are going to be back here on Sunday night.
Sunday at 6.
At 6 o'clock. As we in the Caribbean would say, for emphasis, Sunday night at 6 p.m. We gone.
All right.
We gone.